We rolling? Hello. Welcome to Cooking at Home with Taylor. Now, if you're tuning into this video right when we release it, then you're probably aware that the world is under a pandemic. So here I am at home wondering what to do with myself. This series is a brainchild of myself, Grant, and my wife Abby, who is behind the camera right now. Let's swing around here real quick. Here she is. Okay, back to the camera. Because Grant and I can't be in person due to the pandemic, then we are going to record these videos ourselves, send them over to him, and he will edit them. And then once this all blows over, Grant will be back in person, producing and directing this whole operation. Now, I do want to start out on a serious note and just say, due to this pandemic, I hope that none of you think that we're not taking this serious. In fact, it's quite the opposite, and we are just hoping to provide some laughs, a little bit of fun, and try to create some content that might help people get through this current situation. So you're probably wondering, what is the premise of this show? Am I an expert? No, far from it. But I am a decent cook. I don't have any crazy knife skills. I don't expect you to have knife skills like this, nor do I have a incredibly deep understanding of the culinary world. It mostly tastes like peanut butter, but it is something that I enjoy. So I will be cooking on camera for all of you. However, the caveat is, I do not know what the recipe is that I'll be cooking ahead of time. In fact, you are going to see it printed out at the same time that I am witnessing it for the first time.
Oh, wow.
All I get to do is look at a picture of that recipe, and I will have the ingredients laid out in front of me on this countertop. The other caveat is that there are no specific measurements given to me, so that's a huge issue, and I hope that this one turns out good. Because we are filming this right about dinner time, and it will be what I'm using to sustain myself until I eat breakfast again tomorrow. There might be a couple of ingredients thrown in that are not supposed to be there at all. So, for the first few episodes, Abby and Grant are going to be coordinating, and they will be laying out the ingredients. Okay, there are no canned bean sprouts. Basically, all the odds are stacked against me, the star of the show, to not create something delicious. But I do believe that I am up for the challenge. Now, come along with me on this culinary adventure. Let me be your captain aboard this ship of flavor. All right, and we're back. So I went and I hid, and now the ingredients are under this sheet here. I do not yet know what they are. The first step is I'm going to be waiting as we print out a picture of the recipe. I'd also be remiss if I didn't introduce you to my director, producer, videographer, and editing crew, Grant, who's joining us via Zoom.
Hey everybody.
So he will be offering critiques throughout this operation. So here we go. I have no idea. Grant and Abby are the only two that know what we're cooking. It's printing. Now, the one thing, when you're printing something and immediately cooking afterwards, you gotta wait for the ink to dry at least a little bit, or you could risk getting some ink in the recipe.
Oh, wow.
So this, a little shake. Now, there are no measurements on this, correct? Okay, there are no measurements. Only a photo. Could not have gotten me a larger photo. That's good. Okay. So we are making easy homemade pad thai. We will see how easy it is. There is a photo of what it's supposed to look like at the end. It looks like it is in a skillet when it ends, so maybe this is a one-pot shot, I don't know. This amazing pad thai recipe is easy, approachable, and can be made in under 30 minutes with fresh ingredients and a delicious homemade pad thai sauce. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a little nervous about the homemade pad thai portion of this. This serves 4 people. Now I'm a big eater, so this is probably more like serves 3. Ingredients that are in front of me, let's find out. Can you bring the camera this way? I'm gonna unveil this. Okay. Wow. There is a lot of stuff here. Rice noodles, check. Oil, check. Garlic, check. Thawed shrimp or chicken. Chicken, I definitely wish it was shrimp. Eggs, check. Canned bean sprouts. Okay, there are no canned bean sprouts. Am I to assume that the bamboo shoots are, okay, so we're going to actually end up dicing these in a bean sprout shape, so that should be fun. Red bell pepper, check. Green onions, don't have those. We forgot green onions. Hold on, 1 second. Typical. All right, green onions, dry roasted peanuts. Glad they're dry rather than wet. Vegetable stock, limes, 3 of those. That seems a little heavy for cilantro. Fresh. We only use the freshest of ingredients on this show, unless it's processed and quite old. Fish sauce, soy sauce, brown sugar. That one I got my eye on. That might be a mystery ingredient. Maple syrup, a natural sweetener, rice vinegar, white sriracha, every creamy peanut butter. Okay, do we have more of this? Quarter of a jar. We do have more? Okay, because I make my stuff peanutty. Okay. Now, before I move on to actually making the sauce, I need an apron. Toss me an apron. Now, Grant, would you be able to do for me one of those spin things?
Yeah, just set the apron down and then spin. Now put the apron on, don't move. Spin again. Alright.
I need an apron. Toss me an apron. Okay, now that we have our proper protective gear on and deep pockets. Okay, make the sauce. They're not giving me much to go on, but I do know that a good sauce requires a saucepan. Okay, so as we delve into the actual sauce, I want to remind you that while I don't know the proper measurements, you guys will. That will be provided on the screen for you so you can follow along at home. Now, maybe you would rather follow along with my recipe. That's what I would recommend. But if not, the actual measurements will be there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this heated up. But first, I need to pick out the 3 ingredients that do not belong. I can tell you right now, brown sugar, it might belong, but I'm not having it. Too granular. I don't have enough time to really get this down to where, what's it called? Dissolve it. Yeah, I don't have time for that. So, boop, bye-bye. Next, crap. Okay, here's another easy one for you. Soy sauce and fish sauce. Now, if you do any type of cooking within this realm, then you will know that they're both very sodiumized. A lot of salt in these suckers. In fact, fish sauce per 1 tablespoon has about 1,340 milligrams, which is 56% of your daily. Soy sauce, much better, with only 960 milligrams. But I actually think, and my guess is that this recipe calls for fish sauce, so I'm gonna use it. All right, next, I don't think we need 2 kinds of vinegar. Rice vinegar seems to make more sense. We're using rice noodles. Let's get them back paired back up, shall we? Okay, now, I will be showing you the measurements that I am using for, I'm gonna get this pan just heated up. The number 1 rule of cooking is to use a hot pan. That is pretty much already burned. So, I slap that. Oh, I'm not gonna use that burner. I am gonna use that burner. You can tell, you can see the flame, it's working. Grant, how are you doing over here, buddy? You want a better view of this? Okay, so for the sauce, I'm gonna try to pick out these ingredients that are gonna cater themselves to the sauce. Now, chicken, that's not gonna go in a sauce. I'm gonna set that off to the side. I need to grab a tablespoon measuring thing. Which one of these is heavy? No, you can tell me which one of these is a quarter cup. Wow, okay. I'm gonna use that. Now I have my pan heating up over here. I want to get a base for the sauce going. The base is gonna be peanut butter, but I don't wanna add that in just yet. I'm actually gonna be using a little bit of oil. So get you some of that. I'm gonna just throw about a tablespoon of oil. I think that's what we're using here. And I'm gonna transfer that over to the pan. I don't need bamboo shoots right now. That's not gonna be a main component of the sauce just yet. Fish sauce will be. Peanut butter will be. That's the glue. That's what holds everything together. Maple syrup as well. I might even squeeze a lime in that sucker. It's a little bit of a secret, but I also add in garlic. We will do garlic as well. I'm gonna use 2 cloves of garlic for this. Okay, I'm gonna use 1 clove, which is really 2. That can't be organic, it's way too big. Is it organic? Get yourself a knife too when you're cooking. Boom. That's a good smash there. It peels apart, nice and easy. Now you can just throw those little ends in there if you'd like. I don't like to, so I'm not going to. Dice up this garlic. I don't expect you to have knife skills like this. Not many people do. You'll see it gets into real fine, small pieces. Normally I would also use a plastic cutting board because this garlic really embeds itself in the wood. My wife set this one out for me, so we'll talk about that later. Because you will, even if you're slicing up a PB&J, you know, maybe it's 10 o'clock and you want a little sandy before bed, you will be tasting garlic on that PB&J if you used it on a wooden cutting board. So that's a huge issue. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but here I am. So I'm gonna throw this garlic in with the oil. Now remember, we've had the oil on low, okay? So I don't wanna burn this garlic. And oh boy, we might burn this garlic. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I filled up a pot with water. And what I realized is that I had the oil and the garlic set to a little bit too high of a temperature. So I'm actually gonna just dump that right out because that is gonna taste not very good. So when you've spent as much time as me in the kitchen, actually what you're doing is pre-seasoning the pan with a little garlic flavor, a little bit of like charcoal. And so that's gonna actually be a really nice base for this dish. I'm gonna get this peanut butter. I think that this is gonna be about a half cup's worth. We might need more than that. And I'm just flinging peanut butter everywhere. Pardon?
I have some of that. Thank you.
Grant's always been a big peanut butter guy. And when I was talking about making a little peanut butter sandwich before bed, he was the one I was referring to. I know that he does that. So this is actually, that's heating up really quick. So quick, in fact, that I'm not really sure what to do. If you're getting drawn in a lot of different directions, it's like I always say, take it off the burner and wait. Take it off the burner and wait. So that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, you love it and you leave it. That's what I just did with that peanut butter. And I am gonna add in a little bit more. This is not creamy original, this is actually honey. So that's gonna be something that I'm gonna want to account for later in the recipe. And I already have maple syrup. Honey and maple syrup are a very close cousin to one another. Really wish this had been opened prior, but. So I'm gonna actually get these veggies, which I have a pepper and the chicken. Wow, I nearly forgot the chicken. I need another pan. What's funny is that this picture doesn't even have a wok on it. I have a wok. So whoever did that recipe clearly doesn't take themselves serious. I do. Betterfromscratch.com. I'm not gonna say anything because maybe you'll be a potential sponsor one day, but get your stuff together. It's a decent little knife, sharper than the blazes. So I'm also going to heat up some oil here. A little swirl will do ya. A little swirl will do ya. So let's cut this up. This is how I cut peppers, okay? It just is. If you have a problem with it, or you have a suggestion, I'd love to hear it. I might not listen to it though. Boom. You will see when I throw in the chicken that I will have cut the chicken to an appropriate size to finish up at exactly the same time as the pepper. In that goes. I have to get to the chicken. We just gotta get it open. That's really the first place to start. Garlic is a close cousin to an onion, which reminds me, when you smash it, it causes some type of chemical reaction in garlic, and that it's a defense mechanism, which it doesn't know. They don't have brains. They might think I'm a big bug coming to sit on them. So they're eliciting this in with the peppers. Okay? Now, onto the chicken. If someone can tell me what those little doodads are on the chicken, I will give you a free tour of my kitchen. I don't even really like chicken much, to be honest with you. The way I make chicken, I'm not crazy about it. Would have much preferred shrimp. And I am cutting around whatever that dingle dangle was on it. So there, that guy's got a big dangler on him. Never forget about your veggies. You might have thought I did, I didn't. If it's sizzling, it's cooking. And that baby is sizzling, I can tell you that. Ugh. If there's a change in quality that you're noticing with the filming, we lost storage on our device. I don't know, I don't do this kind of thing. But here we are. Don't act like you're gonna tune out because of that. Wow, this garlic is burning as well. So, I'll wait for you to mount it. I want to get these bamboo shoots, which are actually taking the place of, and I want to chop those a little bit to make them more like a bean sprout, okay? They don't look like a bean sprout at all, but they are a close relative to the bean sprout. Oh, I know, trust me, just like garlic is a close relative to an onion. Medium, low heat, and I am making a mess. Unlike other big food stars, I clean my own kitchen. So I'm not happy about that. This is the #1 rule of cooking with limes, is roll it on the slippery chicken. That was like a greased pig. Throw it back and forth a couple times, right in there. I really want to give all my attention to this sauce because it concerns me. It's a big part of the dish. So here's what I'm gonna put in the sauce. Stock, fish sauce, sriracha, a little maple syrup, rice vinegar, boom, and smell it. It's not opened yet. I'm gonna do about 2 to 4 tablespoons. We'll see. Right over the peanut butter. 2 now, maybe 2 later. Nobody really knows. Just realized there's eggs in this thing too. That sucks. Okay, so I can tell right now I need a little bit of this. So I'm actually doing a full cup of this chicken stock. And that was probably a little bit too much. This is what I'm looking at right now. Not great, but it will get there. Again, I don't expect you to know how to do this. I made a mistake. That peanut butter is just swimming in a sea of chicken stock. So what do? You just double back, drain a little bit of that stuff out. Now, it's looking like more like a sweet little nectar. No need to check it out right now. You'll see. I'm gonna add in a little bit of maple syrup right now just because I know that it needs it. Maybe a quick 1-2 count. 1-2 count, that's my measurement. For viewership purposes, we're gonna do a tablespoon. 1, 2 tablespoon, like I said. Now the fish sauce. Remember this ingredient? You can smell the salt. It's like you're standing next to the Dead Sea. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of that, which this is a shake, so just shake out a tablespoon or 2. So 1 in the sauce, 1 in the stuff you're cooking. Remember, I don't have the luxury of measurements and all the fancy stuff that other chefs like to use. Oversaturate and then dump. That's something that I do quite a bit. Why don't you come take a look at this sauce?
It's so gross.
Oh. That sauce is about done. It needs to thin out a little bit. I actually think the chicken stock I had in there at one time might have been able to work, but you can't climb back down the drain and bring it out. So, I am gonna add a little bit more chicken stock. That will thin it out. Because right now it looks like a caramel paste that if you had dentures, you'd be losing them in that thing. This looks horrible. Okay, there it is. It might look worse than it did before. So I'm gonna grab an additional cutting board. I cut raw chicken on this one, but I wanna get those garnishes ready, so things like cilantro, green onion, because we're gonna boil the noodles and then we're gonna be pretty much set to plate this thing. And it smells great, but you can't eat a smell. I know that, I learned that a long time ago. The best thing for something sweet is something salty. So that brings us up to 3. Now I'm not crazy about the consistency and the texture of this sauce, but you can't eat texture. It'll end up being how it is. I'm going to pause the vegetables. Garnishes, cutting garnishes. Green onion, I like to use maybe 1 or 2, just 1. And I'm gonna get a new knife because I cut chicken with all the knives. Cut them how you prefer. Maybe like the size of an infant's pinky fingernail. Okay, we have an egg, so I'm gonna crack that, and I cook that egg right in with those. And you'll scramble it. It's just gonna be a quick scramble. It's like a fried rice, except with stuff other than rice. This stuff looks good. If anything, we can make a meal out of the chicken and the... that sauce keeps catching my eye. And not for the right reasons. It looks like someone dropped brown food coloring into a pan of cottage cheese. I'm gonna take this off and I'm gonna use a little bit bigger burner for the water. I don't expect you to be able to handle this many burners. Never had this big of an issue boiling water before. Watch pot never boils. Well, neither does one that's on camera.
Did you wash your hands after you touched the chicken?
Okay, the water is boiling, or it's at a simmer. I'm gonna use 1 package of this. So we're gonna let those cook for 5 minutes, and then we're gonna be ready to plate this thing. And I will show you guys how to properly plate this so that the aesthetic of it matches the flavor.
Just what? Crap.
Okay, so my noodles are boiled. I have them in a serving dish. Now I'm gonna do sauce first, and let's get a close up of this sauce here. So as I mentioned prior, it does look like cottage cheese, like brown cottage cheese, or maybe refried beans. We also heard from the studio audience. That's because it's more of an authentic look. Okay, this is not your Americanized dish. This is the real deal here. I give that a quick stir to try to break up the chunks, and I just layer that right directly on the noodle. Oh God, right on the noodles. So you can almost smear it on the. That's way too much, but okay. And then you can save this for like filling one of your dog's bowls or something. They love peanut butter. Dogs love peanut butter. Now I'm adding the chicken and the keep wanting to call them beans. They're peppers. Chicken, peppers, egg, garlic, bamboo shoots. It's simple. Over a bed of what looks like refried beans. Now, I really like the taste of vinegar. Somebody's going by our house on their bike. Oh my, what? All right, so we just witnessed a crime. So I'm doing a little spew of vinegar. And then sriracha is fun because it has this little droplets. Again, I don't expect you to be able to, all right, a little crunch. I don't like a lot of crunch in my pad thai. You know, now I'm wondering if there's even cilantro in this recipe. I don't think cilantro grows where pad thai grows, but here we are. Quarter of a lime over the top. So it is plated, it's in this serving dish, and there you'll see the finished product. So now we're gonna taste it. Gonna see how it all came together. I don't know, I think I got 100%. But grab a fork. This bite, I'm gonna try to get all the components. Really wish I had some soy sauce, but I kicked that out. I like to add a little more sriracha. So the texture of this dish, particularly, is the noodles they were a little bit, if I'm gonna be real, I don't think this is my best work, okay? Basically, the key ingredient to a pad thai is the sauce. And the thing that I did the worst was the sauce. It's not gonna make you throw up. It's just not very good. All right, Abby, come on over here. Make sure you get some of the sauce.
It's really stiff.
We need a bigger fork to dig through this.
I can't even get a piece.
It's the noodles. The noodles didn't
They're not even cooked.
lend themselves to this very well either.
Oh wow.
Don't spit it back in there because I am gonna eat that. Dude, ew! Oh no, she didn't. And
The sauce has a glue-like texture.
peanut butter, that's the glue. That's what holds everything together.
Like rubber cement.
I'll tell you what, a big part of cooking is texture. So while I absolutely 100% nailed the flavor, I did not nail the texture. So until next time. Now, do you think my measurements were off?
I don't think so. Sauce should be a little thinner, I believe. You usually toss it all together in a pan with the noodles after you cook the noodles too.
Duh. Okay, I literally am having a hard time breathing because the sauce is so thick. This would be more like a street food.
Yeah. Off the street or...
This is something you would find on the street.
All in all, I think you did pretty dang good.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Cooking at Home with Taylor. I know that I did. I am not this bad of a cook, I promise. It's my first time on camera, but we're gonna get better together. Thanks for coming along on this flavorful adventure.
Oh yeah.